Welcome to Community Express. I'm Rachel Ann Goodman at the grand opening and open house for the Visitors Council of Santa Cruz County, celebrating their brand new digs and also their brand new visitors guide, trying to draw people into Santa Cruz County. Most people would say, Maggie Ivy, who's the CEO, that how could we not attract people? We're so beautiful. Aren't people coming here in droves anyway?
That's true. Santa Cruz County as a whole. So our challenge really isn't drawing tourists. It's making the most of the tourism industry for our community.
Getting them to stay around a little longer, maybe?
Exactly. Yeah. Our emphasis is off-season tourism, drawing in the overnight visitor during the non-summer months, and with the economy the way it is now, even midweek in the summertime. Well, the Conference and Visitors Council recently relocated to our new offices at 303 Water Street. So we have a new visitor center here and all of our marketing offices. We wanted to invite the community in to see what we're doing and where we are and talk a little bit about some of our new programs for 2011.
Today's also a really special day because you're starting with a new visitor's guide. Tell us about that.
So this year is our 16th annual publishing of the Santa Cruz County Official Traveler's Guide. So we're very excited to be debuting it tonight. The cover is a surprise. So 2011 guide will be debuted this evening for the first time to the community, and we use it all year long to promote Santa Cruz County. It's really an annual labor of love for the staff and all of our partners, and we think really displays and presents to visitors the best of our community.
That's great, Maggie. Where can people get the guide?
Well, come to our visitor center at 303 Water Street. We're open 7 days a week, and they are free of charge. You can also get on our website, santacruzcounty.travel, and order a copy. We also encourage locals to order copies for their friends and family to come visit this year.
Great. So visit Santa Cruz.
Absolutely. It really represents the best of what we have to offer our visitors, and so we're really excited to debut the cover of the 2011 Traveler's Guide. Drum roll. Drum roll. It happens to have, should we lift it up? Happens to have a surfing thing. Isn't it? Look at that. And there's something in the background there. What is that, Mr. Lipton? No, there's no water. There's a roller coaster, though. The giant dipper, yeah. So what do you think?
And we're back in the studio. I'm Rachel Ann Goodman for Community Express. The Watsonville per capita crime rate was at its lowest level since the early 1980s last year, a 15% drop. And with us today is Watsonville Police Chief Manny Solano to talk about how they've implemented a broad strategy that includes partnerships and local agencies to achieve this success. Welcome, Chief Solano.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. So a 15% drop is significant. We don't always celebrate successes, and Watsonville has this perhaps undeserved reputation as being a very crime-ridden place. What's going on? What's working to make this drop in crime happen?
Right, I think you're right. I think we need to celebrate our successes, which is why we're very pleased about this. And we're joining with others, all of our community partners, to make sure people are aware of the fact that a lot of what we're doing is making a difference. Despite some of the misnomers, some of the labeling that sometimes goes on, Watsonville and the South County and the Pajaro Valley, for that matter, we feel is turning the tide. I think we are able to make a difference together, and this shows.
Well, a lot of people would say in the middle of a recession with a growth in population, you would have an opposite trend. So what is going on here? There are community partnerships, but what's going on behind the scenes there?
And that's exactly it. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, stuff that's not really all the time reported. We certainly see a lot of hard work being done by our law enforcement partners who are out there doing the apprehension suppression, which is very important. I believe that's making a difference. In addition, our probation department has been able to implement some unique strategies to try to correct and control some of the recidivism, both with adults and juveniles. That's been very effective. But then equally important is a lot of the work being done by our community partners, our nonprofits, the schools, parent groups, migrant families, a lot of people over the years investing in the lives of children and those that may be prone to falling into either a dangerous lifestyle or an unhealthy lifestyle. And I think we're starting to see the fruits of a lot of that work.
Let's sift through some of the statistics just a little bit to understand different types of crimes. A lot of times people just read charts and say, well, that's great, the crime rate has dropped. In a recession, you would think that thefts and robberies would be up because people are desperate. But I don't know. What do you see out there?
Well, we do see what we call certain trends develop. And they may not last throughout the whole year, but they may be come to mind because we see a large increase of them. But that doesn't tell the story of the whole year in total. So we have to be careful, and you have to look at the data once it's all collected to really truly see what the year was like. I can tell you that the early part of this year, for instance, robberies and some thefts are an issue. It is something that we're focusing on. I believe we're already making a difference. We already see that. And then data, we're very data driven as a police department, as a community. We do a lot of community assessments, surveys, not just with the police department, but a lot of our community partners, some that I think you're going to talk to today, that has been able to give us a real good gauge of where to place our resources to be effective.
When people move to a town, they want to look around and find out what are the good neighborhoods. Are there any data that support certain areas being crime-ridden, or is it really a misnomer to think that way?
I think it's a misnomer because it's unfair to say that one particular neighborhood is ridden with crime. And I think what you're starting to see, not just in our area but others, is that crime is transitory. Crime can move around depending upon where, could even be just one particular family or person that lives in a neighborhood that attracts problems to that neighborhood. And those are the types of problems where we try to focus our resources to make a difference, and then you do see a change in that neighborhood. Now, if on a broader scale, if there's an apartment complex or a neighborhood that's starting to see more activity than normal, we do try to look at that on a monthly basis. We do focus our resources on that so that you don't get the problem out of hand, and then it's harder to wrap your arms around it. So I think from looking at the crime maps that I see, it's spread out, it's spread around. There are certainly some areas that are a little bit more prone, your convenience stores, your liquor stores. That's why we watch those places very closely. That's why we try to regulate a lot of things, tobacco outlets and all those. Those can be places that can attract problems. I think you see it over here in North County some, more so even than us sometimes. And I know that the agencies over here are focusing their efforts, and they should.
How about gang-related crimes? Can you track those as being gang-related when they happen? That's one of the reputations Watsonville also has, is to be a center for gang activity. You talked about suppression. A lot of people don't know what that means. Can you talk a little bit about the gang situation as it relates to these crime statistics?
When we talk about suppression and enforcement, we use crime statistics to verify whether a particular crime was carried out for the furtherance of the gang. That's really what a gang crime is. Was the person a validated gang member? It's not just guessing. It's not just because the clothes they wore or something they said. It's everything in total that makes that a particular gang crime. That's why you hear the police departments saying at the beginning of a particular press release that we're unsure at this point whether this is gang related, because it's a strong statement once you say that. Now, once the crime has been labeled or confirmed as a gang crime, then we track those particular crimes, because that does give you a gauge on, first of all, what gang might be active in that area, what things are going on.
Well, we're almost out of time. Any last thoughts about what's ahead now that you've got this great report card heading into the future?
Well, we certainly have some great challenges. We have the budget cuts. It's going to make it very difficult this year to be able to continue our success. So we're trying to really look at the challenges, rise above them, and hopefully continue our success.
Great. Thanks so much for being here today, Chief Solano. Appreciate your time. With us now is the CEO of Pajaro Valley Prevention and Student Services, Jenny Sarmiento. For 25 years, her organization has worked on health and social issues in the Pajaro Valley Unified School District and is helping youth stay on the right track. They're one of the groups from Watsonville community that has worked closely with law enforcement to make a difference. Welcome, Jenny Sarmiento.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I've been aware of your organization for a long time, and your work with peer intervention and bullying on campuses of Watsonville High. It's amazing work that you do. As we were just discussing gangs and other related crimes in Watsonville and how the crime rate is actually going down, I have to credit in a large part, your organization for helping set the stage for dialing back some of the violent behaviors that were going on in the youth community maybe 10, 20 years ago before you got started. Talk about the inception of your organization a little bit and what it was responding to when it first kicked into gear.
Well, initially the organization was in response to students. Actually, it's a complete circle. It was in response to youth being suspended or expelled for drinking on campus. And a group of individuals got together and decided that there would be another effort to address this issue. So we had key members of the community, law enforcement. At that time it was Chief Medina, the superintendent of schools, and some trustees and the mayor of the city come together to look at what programs can we have at the school district to address those issues instead of expelling and suspending students.
Now, at that time, what was happening to suspended or expelled students when they left?
Well, as you know, when youth are unsupervised and they have a lot of time on their hands and they're left in the community, as I said, unsupervised, they are usually experimenting and with drugs and alcohol, and most likely that leads to criminal behavior or being associated to criminal activities.
So they have a lot of time on their hands all of a sudden.
That's right.
Right. So it makes the problem the community's problem instead of just the schools at that point?
Right, right. And then it becomes a bigger issue because they are recruiting other students to cut school and engaging in more activities, criminal activities.
So you're now engaged in a project that's attempting to do similar things to get these kids back into the school system. Talk about the cycle that begins with, getting in trouble and maybe getting expelled, and how do you and your organization intervene in that to prevent them just going out and doing what you just said?
Well, this project that we're working on at the moment is in collaboration with Watsonville PD, with the police department, and also with the school district. We work very closely with Student Services, which is a department that actually takes the students through the process of being suspended or expelled. It takes quite a while for a student to be expelled or suspended from their school. It's not the first offense. It's usually the fifth or sixth offense, depending on what the issue is. And at that time, they're required to comply with several requirements before they can return to school. Mm-hmm. What we do is we engage the student immediately and also engage the family in the process of returning to school.
Well, we're now going to see a clip of another program that this organization is involved with, which helps people stay out of gangs and prevents violence in the community. We're going to go to that clip next.
If we parents don't intervene at the point our children are showing signs they are interested in gangs or drugs, they have an open door and permission to move on to the next step, and will begin simulating the idea that first captured their attention. Before a person can fly an airplane, he or she must first be trained on a flight simulator. That's when we practice the want to do it for real. Perhaps it seems as innocent as perfecting a firing pattern on a simulator we call a video game. Or it may be more alarming, and we begin to see our kids' school grades failing. Perhaps they are skipping school or spending time with others you don't know. If no one stops our children in pursuing an artificial sense of belonging to a gang, they will complete the last step of their training and do it for real. The greatest drug, gang, violence, pregnancy, and dropout prevention tool ever invented is you. No one is as powerful as an aware, compassionate, and motivated parent. The technology of training is a very predictable pattern. It works in a positive way when parents support the training of our children to become doctors, good parents, or running their own businesses. But it can also work in a dangerous way when a stranger conducts the training of our children. When we see acts of violence or criminal behavior, we can expect to find drug abuse somewhere along the way. And in every story, it all started as slowly as a thief in the night. Inspecting is a very simple yet powerfully important act that shows you love and care about your family. It is also important and healthy to frequently inspect your child's world, what they wear, what is on their walls, taking the time to know with who they share time, what is written on their school books, what music they prefer, what positive activities and friends have been dropped. Remember, inspecting your children may help save your child's life. Imagine walking with your child hand in hand on a beautiful day, when suddenly a rattlesnake strikes at your child. What would be the first thing you would do? Prevention is what we do naturally as parents. When it comes to drugs and gang life, you can put yourself in the way by teaching kids how to watch what they are watching on television or at the movies. Let them know that huge corporations are seducing them via films, TV, radio, magazines, and outdoor advertising to buy their products or lifestyles. Talk with other parents or friends and ask what they think about it.
Hola Blanca, hola señora Conchita, ¿cómo está? Pásale.
Take the time to get to know the parents of the children your kids associate with. One of the best prevention techniques you can use is to spend time with your kids and set a positive example for them.
That was a great clip, and it really shows how people are grappling with violence in their lives. That was a project that's now concluded, but talk about what it sought to do, and how do you really intervene, with violent behaviors? Because a lot of people feel like there's no way to control gang activity and super violent people once they get going in life. But your organization has a method. What is it?
Well, our method is really looking at research, and research tells us that you have to intervene at different stages and at different levels, and it has to be with the individual, the family, the community. It can't be one individual only without addressing all the other needs that are in the community. So all the programs that we have and the curriculum that we use are based on research, and where research has shown that if you take that program and you implement it in a different community, you can still get the same success as the pilot project.
And what are some key components that the research tells you really works? Like, how do you stop someone if they've already done something violent and maybe are back in the community after being in jail? How do you break the cycle with them?
With them is engaging their children. All parents, regardless of whether they're gang involved or involved in criminal activities, want their children to succeed, want their children to do better. And by engaging children early on, you're able to break that cycle. So that you have to do things, as I said, at so many different levels, and also the community has to be involved. Unfortunately, because of the economic situation, there are less opportunities for youth to be involved in positive activities. But I do have to say that a lot of other agencies, including the Police Academy Activity League, is very involved in providing those positive alternatives to youth.
We just have a few seconds left of the show. In conclusion, is there anything you'd like to highlight that you're up to that's new that you'd like the community to know about?
Well, the project that we were talking about, working with youth to prevent school dropout and gang prevention, is really important. I believe that we're seeing a lot of success. We're seeing students return to school, and we know that education is key to somebody's well-being, to community well-being, and to increase the opportunities for the entire family.
Well, Jenny Sarmiento, thank you so much for being here today with us here on Community Express.
Thank you.
Thanks. We go now to the ribbon cutting for the most state-of-the-green arts building in Santa Cruz, the new Cruzio co-location office and workspace in the historic Sentinel Building.
My name is Peggy Dalgenis, and we're welcoming a lot of people into the what was the Sentinel Building. Now Cruzio and Ecology Action have our new homes here, and we're having a grand opening. Well, we spent a lot of time looking for a building. We needed a new headquarters for our network. We needed to rebuild a network, and we needed a hub. So we spent a lot of time looking for a new building, and we finally found one right in the middle of downtown Santa Cruz. We were very lucky. We partnered with Ecology Action with Chuck Tremper and Ginny Johnson, and we all got together and managed to buy the building and fix it up. It was a derelict building. It had been abandoned, and we were able to make it into a really beautiful spot. On Cruzio's side, this building is the center of our network. It's the hub of our new network, and we have 10 gigabits of internet just to begin, coming right up in the corner over there. And we have a data center, so the data center will be taking advantage of this great new infrastructure in downtown Santa Cruz. It's unprecedented. It will be available to the general public, and especially to people who are working in this area. So we thought that people would also like to do co-working around the kind of like with their hands around the fire, but it's around the internet coming in. So we opened a facility where people can rent offices. They can rent just spaces to work by the day, by the week, by the month. They can rent a cubicle and that sort of thing. And then Cruzio works upstairs. So we're all enjoying the brand new space.
Welcome to the 877 building. 877 Cedar, the new address. Among the things you may have noticed that have changed since the time the Sentinel was here is the entrances to the building. There is no longer one on Church Street. The former 207 address is part of the history that goes with the Sentinel when they left. It's like retiring the jersey of a great athlete.
This building took a lot of vision. And I think for those of us who grew up and walked around this building many times, the idea that the building could now look like this, it took some very creative Santa Cruz minds, some dreamers, some people who maybe wanted to keep Santa Cruz a little weird in order to make this work. It is really a center for ecology, a center for entrepreneurship, a center for what the future of Santa Cruz is. It's a sustainable economy, a sustainable environment, and a place that believes in community.
I wanted to race here today, and it sort of fits my new position in many ways, because this sort of what we're doing today with this building is just symbolic in so many different ways. It's symbolic because when this building was first built in the 60s, it was considered state-of-the-art at the time. It was considered the place that was the center of a major communications hub and news hub for us locally. And who would have thought that now it's the same thing in keeping up with the times?
Who watched that?
We welcome everybody to come and visit us. Please just check us out on cruzio.com on the web.
Now over to Jessica Vo for this month's Video Community Calendar.
Thanks, Rachel. We're having breakfast at Gale's in Capitola, and you are watching our Video Community Calendar. A good opportunity to soak up some sun is checking out the Santa Cruz Surf Kayak Festival on Saturday and Sunday, March 19th and 20th. Adventure Sports is hosting their 25th annual Paddle Fest at Seymour Lane from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you want more information, visit asudoit.com for details. The Watsonville Community Band is a volunteer-based band for enjoyment and education and would love for you to come out and support their performance on March 27th at the Civic Auditorium. Check out showtimes and other concert locations at watsonville-band.org. Eat, drink, and celebrate at the 13th annual Dining for Hospice at Scapazzi's Restaurant in Scotts Valley on March 30th. Dinner between 4 and 9:30 will include an auction and raffle prizes in support of hospice programs in Santa Cruz. Please visit hospicesantacruz.org for more information. You are invited to the Spring Forward into Fashion Show on Sunday, April 10th at the Seascape Resort. The Aptos Chamber of Commerce is hosting a day of fashion, brunch, and raffles. Partial proceeds are being donated to the Cats Cancer Resource Center. If you would like to support fashion with a cause, visit aptoschamber.com. And that wraps up the upcoming events. To learn more information about these local events and other ways to support Santa Cruz County, check out our website, communitytv.org, and click on the community calendar link. You can also be a fan on Facebook, facebook.com/CTV Santa Cruz County, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/CTV Santa Cruz. I'm Jessica Vo. Thank you for watching our video community calendar.
Thanks, Jessica, and all the volunteers here at Community Express. Let us know how we're doing, or tell us a story you're interested in having us cover by emailing us at comex@communitytv.org. I'm Rachel Ann Goodman, and this has been another edition of Community Express. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.